people feel something and they try and evacuate it and project it onto somebody else. Projection is fascinating, right? Social media marketing are designed to, capture these very deep limbic aspects of ourselves, and they are.
Within the depths of a virtual vortex that ensnares our attention and consumes our time, Huberman's strategies stand as a beacon of hope, illuminating the path to liberation from social media's grasp, empowering us to break the cycle of addiction and rediscover the richness of real-world experiences.
Now, they may have clinically diagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but a lot of what people think is ADHD, it turns out, is people just over-consuming dopamine from various sources. And also the context within a TikTok feed the context switch is insane. The brain has never seen, first of all, this is the first time in human evolution that we wrote with our thumbs, but that's a pretty benign shift.
Against the relentless assault of digital noise and the never-ending quest for virtual validation, Huberman's revelations surge forth like a tidal wave of empowerment, equipping us with the tools to navigate the treacherous waters of social media addiction and regain control over our lives.
But it's almost as if the brain has to think that the person is gone in time and space. This has become much harder with social media, right? Because people can check up on people, they can hear from people. In the old days, like when I was growing up, you just took the phone off the hook or you diverted your attention.
Amidst the shadows of digital addiction that cast a veil over our existence, Huberman's strategies emerge as a lifeline for those drowning in the sea of social media's allure, offering a roadmap to break free from the virtual prison and reclaim our autonomy, purpose, and genuine human connections.
Scrolling social media. If you've ever scrolled social media and you're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. It doesn't really feel that good. And I can remember a time where you'd see something that was just so cool, or you'd see something online. I remember this when TED Talks first came out. I was like, this is amazing. These are some, at least some of them are really smart people sharing really cool insights.
Within the cacophony of likes, shares, and endless scrolling, Huberman's battle plan rises like a shield of resilience, guiding us towards a path of self-discovery and liberation, enabling us to reclaim our time, our focus, and our authentic selves from the clutches of social media addiction.
Now think about an opposite situation. You go to the doctor's office and you're sitting in the doctor's lobby and you're waiting and there's no phone reception, so you can't scroll Instagram. You're waiting and you're waiting. It's incredibly boring. It's a very low dopamine state.
Against the backdrop of virtual mirages and the perpetual need for digital validation, Huberman's revelations reverberate with the urgency of a wake-up call, exposing the devastating impact of social media addiction on our mental well-being and providing a roadmap to reclaim our lives from this digital abyss.
Just like in a classroom, there are certain rules, of course, of institution, but then you establish the etiquette within the context of the kind of class. A class about personality psychology or the psychology of love, you're going to have a very different range of conversations than, a class on, membrane physiology. So I think social media is a great place for conversation, but it's not necessarily a great place for every kind of conversation. I love social media for the reason that you see the molecules in the memes. So it's like, get after it. What do sharks do on Monday? Or I can't remember the specific things. Or then they're sometimes it's just time to chill. Well, that's a different molecule. That's serotonin, right? And then dopamine is the get after it molecule. And epinephrine is effort. So if we were going to break this down really concrete, we'd say adrenaline and epinephrine are about effort. Just effort, with no subjective label on them, good or bad. Effort, whether or not stress or you're pursuing something you want to do, it's exerting effort. Dopamine is about reward, but more so about motivation and pursuit of rewards. And then we'll get to it in a little bit, but serotonin is a different source of reward, but it comes from more relaxed states and it resets the whole system, and it's associated with things like sleep and gratitude and meditation, and especially gratitude. I think it's clear that the level of autonomic arousal that's associated with emotions, either very high or very low, very happy or very sad, very anxious or very angry, clouds our judgment. It's very clear. And I think the sooner
we give them too much credence too. They're just feelings, man. We don't have to allow them to overtake us and monopolize everything that we do.
They were designed to push us along certain behavioral paths, but they've grown in importance in the last few years And we could get into a discussion about how, social media marketing are designed to, capture these very deep limbic aspects of ourselves, and they are. But what's amazing is, and important, is that everybody has a forebrain. Some people's, it seems, is more developed than others, but everybody has one. And we have this capacity for what we call top-down control, which is the ability to intervene in our own feeling states and our own action states, and to set some rigor and some real clear marks that we're out to achieve. And I think it's going to start with the generation that's very plastic right now.
Yeah.
Most parents are afraid of stressing their kids because they don't want to, again, I went to a high school where kids, literally at gun high school, in the last 10 years, kids have, there've been over a dozen, train track. So those are kids that are committing for different reasons, but a lot of them is because they just feel too much pressure. So obviously we can't pressure kids beyond their capacity to regulate. But the idea that all of our internal states should be driven by external things, that's a foolish misstep also. So I think we need to operationalize what we're going to teach the next generation. Maybe our generation isn't really rescuable, but maybe the next generation is. And if they understand that there's some concepts that sound a little mushy, like gratitude or mindfulness or these kinds of things, but as long as they understand that, for instance, gratitude, which we didn't really touch on, involves a whole other neurotransmitter reward system in the brain, the serotonin system, which buffers us against injury. It can improve wound repair. It can allow us to lean back into these high stress regimes. Learning and, kids learning how to toggle their nervous system back and forth between highly, duration, path, outcome, focused states of trying to improve and learn, and then learning how to really relax and chill out and enjoy and be socially connected, because it will allow them to ratchet back in and focus with extreme depth. One of the, I think, more toxic things in life is what's called, evacuative projection. When people feel something and they try and evacuate it and project it onto somebody else. Projection is fascinating, right? Yeah. What you essentially just said is that you don't accept projections. In fact, you transmute them, to put in the language of the Buddhists. You transmute it into positivity, and in that way you truly neutralize it and transmute it. I think that if people were better understood when they were experiencing or observing evacuative projection, the world would be a much healthier and happier place. But it requires a certain stable internal rudder, and when we're tired or sick or angry, or hungry, excessively hungry, all of us are less good at it. I've been positively struck by the nature of most of the interactions, not just feedback, but my favorite thing as an educator in the classroom, but also on social media, my absolute favorite thing is when the comments about other people's comments are positively reinforcing. So you see people having conversations within the comments, and you realize this is like, if you, as an educator, again, it's fun to teach and it's fun to talk to the students, but the real pleasure is in walking by a small group of students on campus and hearing them talking about the material. That just fills me with joy. And because what it means is that the ideas are reverberating in their nervous systems and will eventually wick out to others. So it's not just about feedback, it's about a venue for parsing information.